There we go. We're away. Yeah, recording in progress. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone today, everyone that's zoomed in with us and all those watching the replay of this later on. It's wonderful, wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much. So my name is Rachelle from Your Happy Place. We help people to find their happy place through our online program, the Positive Mindset Challenge. And I'm joined here today by the beautiful Alana.
Hey everyone, I'm Alana. I'm one of the co-founders at Your Success Team, where we do business coaching in a totally different way, helping you learn to shape your business to be as unique as you are. And a big part of that is knowing yourself, and mindset is a huge part of that. So that's why we're having these conversations, to bring that to light.
Fantastic.
And we're joined today by the lovely Phil. Phil, do you want to introduce yourself, or should we see what Rochelle's come up with in her glamorous intro? Me too. I'm glad you went with
the first two ones have been really well done. So.
I'm sitting next to New Zealand's youngest financial planner of the year at just age 27, which is quite phenomenal. He was New Zealand's youngest certified financial planner. This is Phil Holland. He has been owner of a business since the age of 21, which is quite phenomenal. And after owning several businesses, he then went on to have a very successful business coaching business, where he just turned so many businesses around and gave them just such great tips and tools and strategies. Was quite phenomenal, to the point where one of his customers said to him, "Oh my goodness, would you just come and work with us and be our general manager?" And that was a turning point for Phil. He left a few of his clients and went out and was general manager of Mainoki, which is at the world's largest earthworm farm. And he's just made a phenomenal difference in that business. Just super, super exciting. So we're very excited to talk with Phil today, because Phil is all about mindset, and he's just got so many gold nuggets to share with us. So that's wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me along.
Yeah,
really wonderful. So first of all, there's a lot of people out there in business at the moment. We've had a tough few years,
100%.
and there's a lot of things that are influencing businesses at the moment, as far as their profits and also the general well-being of their business and also their mindset. So Phil, just to kick off, what would you say is the single biggest influencer of the success of a business insofar as considering the economy, the COVID and the lockdowns, your staff issues, supply chain issues, all those different factors that affect a business? What would you say is the single biggest influence of a business?
Good question, because at the moment there are thousands of different influences out there that can
absolutely
drag a lot of business owners down. And I think it's important to understand that there is a lot of noise in the marketplace out there. But from my perspective, the number one is your mindset, without a doubt. And having been on that journey myself, being a business owner for many, many years now, I've had the highs, I've had the lows, I've had the concrete barriers coming flying towards the car, all that sort of stuff. And that's all around your mindset. And so for me, it's mindset's just is everything you are in your business. So what you're thinking, what you're saying, who you're being, so who you're being to your staff, who you're being to suppliers, your customers, everything around that is all coming from this little, well, it's not so little muscle up there. It's probably the most powerful muscle you've got in your body, really. But everything is around what you are thinking. So if you look in the marketplace at the moment, there's a lot of businesses that are hurting 100%, hands down, out of all, literally out of their control. But also within that market, there are businesses that are actually doing okay, or are flying, or are preparing themselves for what's coming. And again, that just comes down to whether you I've got that victim sort of mentality, really honing in on what you can't control, essentially, versus actually what I call driving in the driver's seat of your business, right? So if you're driving the car, you drive looking through your front windscreen, right? And the front windscreen is this big thing, right? And then you have this little rear vision mirror up here, and that's, every now and then you look back just to make sure that, you're not going to get hit from behind. Same applies to a business. How many business owners are actually driving in their rear vision mirror? They're focusing on all the stuff that's happened and all the stuff from the past, that they're not actually focusing on where are we actually going. You can't change the past, but what you can change is what you've taken out of that and how you really drive the strategy of your business, will drive what you need to get done to actually move forward. So has COVID had a big impact? 100%. There's just no doubt about it. But there's a lot of stuff that nobody can control. We can't control what the government's doing. We can't control what Mr. Putin's doing over in Ukraine and that. We as individuals can't control that. But what you can control is how you show up, is how you think about it, how you take the time to look at the opportunities that are out there and take the blinkers off. That's just such a big part of it. So, I'm big on choice, the word choice. As a business owner, it's your choice. You get to choose your destination. You get to choose where you're going. Will there be some potholes on the road? Always, in the good, the bad, and the ugly. But you do get to choose it. So you also get to choose your mindset. And that's, for me, 10 years ago, that was a turning point in my life when I really started to understand that I can actually choose my mindset. I do have a choice around it. I was your typical first 15 prop from Tauranga Boys College that had no idea on what was going on up here, just reacted solely on my gut feel and just did stuff, versus really understanding what was actually going on. So so back to your question, what is it? 100% in your mindset, without a doubt.
So what you were just touching on in terms of, sounds like it's like for most of us, it's been it's mindsets, it's a journey, not a destination. And so if you've been
100%.
working on this for the better part of a decade, I think, Rachelle, like it echo sentiments and timeframes. For you, what did that start to look like? Because it's one thing to be here in a position of a decade's worth of mindset work. What did that start to look like for you? Like, what were some of the things that you first started to implement or do, or just
fantastic. Great question. And it is 100%, it's still a journey, and it's still a journey for me too. I mean, I just love when I call it the layers of the onion. You just keep peeling back the layers. And even I think it was yesterday, I went for a walk with the dog, and there was another layer that I just found. I was like, oh wow, there it is. That's why that thought pattern was there. 100%. But for me, I like to put it simply, you got to learn to hit the bucket switch. Things have got to change. So for me, that was it. I was at the bottom of my barrel, and that was when I decided I really had to do something to save my marriage, to save the business, and to save myself. And so, I'd encourage people not to get to that stage. It's a lot easier to hit the switch earlier. But, that's unfortunately, that's what's happening. There's a lot of people out there at the moment that are experiencing that at the moment, a change in career or change in lifestyle or change in business. So, once I became aware, and that's the first point, is you've got to be aware. So as I said, I was blissfully unaware for many, many years, just wandering along life, being successful and becoming a young financial planner and all that, but actually completely unaware of myself. And so the first big learning lesson I had was to really understand who's Phil. Who am I? What am I actually all about? What am I passionate about? What motivates me in life? And we just don't tend to stop and think about that stuff, because life gets in our way. We get married, we have kids, we have a business. The tax man always is after you, and you've got to pay your bills on time, and clients ringing you 24/7. Actually stop and become aware. So for me, the biggest part was just that first level of awareness. And then from there, I really learned the hard way on the next one, to be honest. And it was all around choice, So first of all, we got to have an awareness. And for example, I was talking to a young staff member this morning. He's got all the awareness in the world that he's sabotaging himself, right? But he's not learned to make the choice, and it comes all around choice, the choice to actually take a bit of time and to stop and think, the choice to monitor your thoughts, when you have something like 60,000 thoughts a day or something, and if most of those are negative, guess what's going to happen? But the big one that I also learned was action. So I call it ACA. You got to be aware, you got to make a choice, but then there's action. Right? You can't just sit there and go, I choose to manifest a great life, and I'm going to meditate in the morning, and it's going to be a fantastic day. Don't get me wrong, meditation's fantastic. But then you drive out the door and some prick cuts you off in the car, right? And all of a sudden, boom, you're back again, right? It's a moment by moment by moment by moment choice, and you've got to do the work. You've got to sit there and analyze your thoughts. You've got to sit there and really understand, where's this coming from, but not overthink it. And that to me is, I guess, the third part to this is just making sure that you don't overthink stuff. As I like to take the piss out of myself, simple bloke. But it's true, we sit there and we go down these big rabbit holes of why somebody looked at me, or why somebody said something, or what do they mean by this email? And then the whole day's gone just overthinking it. And then everything else you do after that is just crap, right?
And so much of it is just like complete and utter fiction. Like it's just 100%. Some story that we're just then like ruminating over. And and how much energy you spend in this like just total navel gazing pity party.
100%.
Yeah.
So the key for me is just awareness. You know,
Yeah.
the first step is just to be aware. You know, aware that you want to make some change and make the choice to do it. You know, and that can be. I talk to clients a lot about going down to the beach, draw a line in the sand, jump over the bloody line. You know, make a physical part of the decision. You know, that's why I have a little fuck it button on my desk at work. And it's you press it and it says the bad word. You know, probably not allowed to swear. I don't know. Too late now.
We'll get censored.
But it's that physical thing of actually deciding to do something. You know, because if it's just mental, it's like when you study for a test. You know, you write everything down. It's the same sort of scenario.
Yes, I love that.
So you got to make that choice, and then you got to get into action, and that's where the wheels generally fall off for most people. Because they're aware of it, they want to make a choice, but they're not getting into action.
And what do you? Because I think as people, you sort of sit on a spectrum, right, in terms of an action bias or a sloth bias, for want of a better turn of phrase. But what do you see as being the thing that stops most people, other than the innate programming, that stops most people from choosing to take action or actually just taking the action?
It does come back to, I guess, back into a deeper sense of yourself. You know, again, it comes back to awareness. So when I talk about being aware, it's about being aware of what motivates you, but it's also about being aware of what those underlying drivers are for you. You know, and if you don't do the work on that, you'll never understand why you do what you do. So, for example, I'm pretty open about my what I call red zone. So that's the red zone side of life. So my red zone drivers, right? So I have a not good enough theme. Came from childhood. Was always never good enough for certain family members. I had a confused theme. That again was another family incident, and which is quite ironic given my career is financial planner, CEO, insurance, business coach.
Lots of strategic clarity there, and not
I run
so
a
much
confusion.
confusion.
And I also have an alone. So you know, part of me being a bit of an extrovert is a cover up for that. But you know, there's been a lot of times where I've sabotaged relationships, friendships, and things like that in the past because there was both that fear of being alone. But also not being alone.
So then you do the thing that's going to trip the tripwire.
So the sabotage. So underlying all of that, there's a deep theme for me in the past of sabotage. So you know, once you understand that, then I can simplify all the things that are going on. So why for example, am I not doing that? I'm just probably sabotaging it. Right? Do I know where it comes from? Yeah, I do. Then I can move again. Versus most people sit there for decades, maybe their whole life wondering, why am I not doing this? And then they beat the shit out of themselves, right? Because I must be useless, I must be a sloth, I must be, you know, no good, blah blah blah. And you just dig yourself a deeper hole. You know, so one of the things around that is, you know, once you've made that choice, keep the action simple, but just be mindful of what pops up that's holding you back. You know, because that'll be the underlying scenario of a common theme, and when you start to look at it, you say, oh god.
And I would hazard a guess as an amateur psychologist, you know, that they're pretty base themes that at a certain level, because you know, like we form these impressions when we're kids, that the base themes for so many of us are probably quite universal.
Very much so.
Is that
very,
been
very
true?
So.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, that's part of what I was talking about, simplifying stuff down. You know, how many of us
everyone?
Hang on, I'll just mute there. There we go.
So talking on that, you touched on that red zone and green zone thinking. So this is one of the things that I love about that was in your business coaching is your green zone and red zone mindset and how that plays into people's, you know, and the outcomes in their day. So when an email comes through, how you react to it and how you interact with people and how you make decisions based on whether you're in the green zone or red zone. So could you tell us a little bit about that green zone and red zone, how it works?
So that's a real example of keeping things simple. So when I hit my fuck it switch to change, I spent an awful lot of money on consultants, coaches, gurus, courses, you know, you name it. And would I change it or not at all? But what I learned out of that is that most people overcomplicate stuff. And most gurus will overcomplicate stuff to sell you more stuff. So I think
magic formula.
Probably quite a few of us that have gone down that track.
Absolutely.
And so out of that, I realized that actually what I need to do is create something really simple. So simple that I can understand. And if I can understand it, anybody can understand it, you know. So that was my premise around creating what I call the green zone and the red zone. So red zone is just simply those red zone drivers and then the behaviors that you typically will have out of that. So So it could be feeling anxious, overwhelmed, not sleeping, feeling unloved in a relationship, for example. It's all that red zone drivers. They're stressed. And then on the green zone side is what is actually motivated. So I'm not getting undressed, I promise.
It's lunchtime show, it's all safe.
So on my wrist here, I've got my 3 motivators tattooed. So love, freedom, and legacy. And those were a massive turning point in my life. I don't need the tattoo anymore, but at the time it was tattooed there to remind me that I'm all about love, which is partly why I called the coaching business Love Your Business. I'm all about the freedom. For me, in the past, obviously financial planning and all of that, it was all about money. Understanding that freedom is actually a bit more than that.
It's
then
more nuanced than just money, isn't it?
Right? And interestingly enough, when you let go of that, it comes. And the big one for me was legacy. I just had no idea what was driving me to always be on committees, to always help and stuff like that. So that's your green zone side. So what actually is driving you? And then simply put, the old piano thing, I can never say it right, the metrodome thing, tick, tock, right, that's life. That's every day in life. So you're in the green 1 minute, and then you get an email and somebody's gone, right, back in the red again, and instead of really digging down into what it is, it's just recognize the fact, oh shit, I've gone back into my red zone. And 99% of the time now, I just move straight away. In fact, mostly it's subconscious now because I've done the work on it. But every now and then I still find myself in the red, and my wife's a very good picker upper of this, and so are my kids, which drives me crazy. Dad, you're in the red zone,
Love it how they teach you what you taught.
I just kind of throw this stuff back at your dad. You're in your red zone.
Remember what you said?
Oh, they're classic, But it's good because the people around me know that when I'm triggered by something, or they can see when I'm responding a different way.
And obviously, because you've done the work and you've made that a conscious decision to talk about it with your family, so that you've given them permission to hold you to account. Because I can imagine that for a lot of us, sometimes doing the work's really lonely, and you're just doing it, and then you're just hoping, maybe,
absolutely,
like maybe I'll get the hint, maybe my 14-year-old will get the hint, kind of thing. And that's not always the case. So if someone is watching along and they're doing the work, do you want to maybe share some of how did you create that safety in your family so that your family could hold you to account when you slip up?
Really good
when you're a human being.
Fantastic. Well, first and foremost, number one thing is to do the work on yourself. Because when you start showing up differently, people will either get triggered by it themselves because it'll trigger something in them, or they'll go, actually, what's he doing? Maybe this is quite cool. And that was certainly the case for myself. There was a few close friends and family that were quite triggered by my transformation. But conversely, it was really inspiring for my wife and for the kids, which are the really close-knit family that we've got.
Nice.
So, show up differently. That's the big one. The second part is just set boundaries, have those conversations and make sure you're always liking it. Ended up doing a lot of couples and business coaching, which kind of is marriage counseling at the same time, right?
I can understand
it. And I always said to them, the biggest thing you can do is sort your own backyard out first. Too many people are trying to sort out everybody else's backyard, and when you put boundaries up and go, I'm responsible for sorting out my backyard and you're responsible for sorting out yours, by default you go really well. So when I say putting boundaries in place, it's exactly that. Hey, you don't need to fix me. I'm on a journey. Let me be.
Nice.
And it was a big thing. I know, particularly for my wife and I, it was massive.
Because you want to fix the other person. You want to make the troubles go away. Or and that's a woman's nurturing. For their kids and things. I just want to make everything okay.
It's such a nice and empowering message. Like, I'm on my journey, just leave me be. As long as you're okay watching. Give you full permission to tap out exit stage left if you really need to.
If you don't really believe in what this changes. But if you're changing for the positive, why would, if you've got a partner or family, why would they not support you?
Absolutely. That's a really great message.
And if they're not supporting you, and if they're dragging you, maybe there's a few questions to be had there as well.
So how would someone go about, obviously you've done a lot of work in doing the work to understand your red versus your green. If you were going to give someone like a whirlwind, do it at home, red green zone for dummies that are quite clever, in concise time, what would be some of your tips for something that maybe the guys here today that can take away and put it into practice?
So first of all, just keep it really simple, right? I just had a little red and a green, like just decide where you are. you know, and when you're in the green, really capture that. And what are those motivators looking like for you?
Nice.
You know, what are you actually here for? You know, and again, much like you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of standards in there. You know, for me personally, I would love everybody to have love as a motivator. I mean, imagine the world if everybody actually had love as a motivator. You know, I mean, the world will just be a completely different place, right?
Yeah.
But you know, understand those, and then it's just, as I said, it's that moment by moment by moment choice. You know, so come back to the first one, ACA. You know, got to be aware. So aware where you're at. Are you in your red? Are you in your green? You know, then you got to make a choice. I don't want to be in my red. I want to be back in my green again. You know, I want to be living to my motivators. You know, and then the third one is taking that action. So one big tip or thing that really helped me, I mean, you don't have to get the tattoo. The tattoo did help significantly, but put it around you. You know, what do you choose? Do I choose the red or the green?
Yeah.
You know, if it's on a mirror at home, if it's on your computer screen, you know, it's just that constant reminder, because life's busy.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the reason why I got the tattoo, because I needed to be able to see it around me all the time to go, Phil, this is what I'm motivated to, man. You know,
that's a great tip. So actually specifically thinking for you, what are you motivated by? You know, what
100%.
rocks your boat? What drives you to be the best person that you can be and show up in the best way that you can show up, and writing down for you. So for you, you know, love and it's awesome, and freedom and your legacy. It's fantastic. And so for every one of us, it's going to be something different, you know. So whether it's your family, whether it's just providing for your family, or setting a good example for your children, or showing up, creating your own business, or, you know, no matter what it is, no matter what your journey is, it's finding out, it's just being really clear about your motivators
100%.
and having them up on a wall all around the place so you can see them, and it constantly reminds you, this is why you're doing what you're doing, and this is why I want to stay in the green zone, in a good mindset, why I want to do the work on myself, and to be able to fulfill those goals.
If I'm in my red zone, right, there's no love there. And certainly no self-love, right? There's no freedom, trust me, when you're deep in your thoughts, and you are deep in the red, and you're angry, and you're full of anxiety and frustration, right? There's no freedom there. And you're not creating any legacy.
So tell us about, you know, fear-based thinking, because very much over the last couple of years, we have had an increase in the amount of fear that's been fed into our society by the things that have been going on. And a lot of people have been making decisions out of a fear-based thinking. You know, I need to do this because if I don't, I'm going to miss out, or my business is going to go down, or all these negative thoughts, and they make a decision based on the negative beliefs. So can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on fear-based thinking as compared to making decisions with a positive mindset?
Perfect. So first and foremost, turn off the noise. You know, like seriously, turn off. I can't remember the last time I watched the news, for example. It doesn't forward my game, you know, and I will choose to read stuff. I will choose, for example, I walked around the protests in Wellington. I wanted to see what it was about, you know. I choose to do that, you know, and I think that's the key thing. There's just so much noise now that these little things can't cope with so much, you know, especially if you've got family and kids and a business and all that. You can't squeeze much more in here, you know. So to me, the big one is
that is so true, right?
Choose your noise, you know. And also, like, your thoughts create your reality, right? So if all you're watching is doom and gloom, and you're going down conspiracy theory rabbit holes, I've been there, done that, you know, all of that stuff is all normal stuff, but just choose your thoughts, because your thoughts do create your reality, 1000%, right? And then that leads on into everything from health to how you're manifesting success, what success actually looks like, but it also comes down to the action plan. Like, what are you actually doing in your business? You know, I used to coach a lot of people, and they go, oh, I really want to grow my business. Cool, what are you going to do about it? I don't know. You know, and then you set a plan, and you see them the next week, what have you done about it? Nothing. You know, I mean, it's you know, but what happens if they say no? Well, you're in no worse place, because they didn't have the client anyway.
And is that lack of action normally because people are trapping themselves in their fear-based thinking? Is that 100%. Normally what you see? Is it like a bit of a combo of staying in the red plus some red-based thinking, and then it's just all a bit of a toxic pity party?
100%. And there's a lot of underlying victim, and I mean, I've got it. I think everybody's got it in there to a certain degrees, you know, where if it's out of your control, you tend to go down the rabbit hole, and then you're trying to link it to something that you do have control of, but you're actually gone down the wrong rabbit hole anyway.
You're over here, you know, and you should be.
You're digging a big hole to China, and it's like, why? You don't need to. But look, that's the reality of our brain. You know, we're designed to think about stuff. We're designed, you know, if you think right back to caveman day, you know, we were designed to have a fear-based in us to keep us safe.
Yep.
The thing these days is
guard.
there's no saber-tooths walking around the outside now, you know, but we still operate that thinking.
So turning off
the noise
in
Turning
terms
off
of
the noise.
so I feel like there's probably some layers to that. A really obvious one, I'm totally in agreement with you. I cannot tell you the last time I watched anything mainstream news. I'm gonna pick, there's probably a theme around other consumption of stuff, like as in social media, books. Is there part of this, because Rachelle and I have touched on this a couple of times in previous conversations, is do you see some of it's who you surround yourself by as well?
Absolutely.
And do you see that as a big difference with business owners in terms of like if you can stay a bit more in the green versus in the red?
100%. And certainly I noticed for example, going to like a networking group, and I always pick ones that are early in the morning, right? Because the ones that are getting up in the morning are generally the excitable, the go-getter ones, and surrounding yourself with those people, versus if you're surrounding yourself with the negative Nancy's of this world, you know,
they're going to pull you down.
Nothing's going to happen. You know,
Apologies to any happy Nancy's joining in or watching.
Definitely very unhappy. But you know, I think there's a whole lot around that fear is, you know, just acknowledge it. Don't try and beat it. It is there. It's a natural human feeling and emotion. But you know, start to just acknowledge it. Oh, there's my fear thinking going on. Right, what's really going on? Oh shit, I'm in the red zone. Move. You know, so don't dig into it. It's just keep it really simple. That's
such a nice, like, you know, just watch this, choose through this. You know, I think we can all take that as small or as big as we want to in terms of taking it away. Because
how you feel each day is so much influenced on what you choose to read and listen
100%.
to and talk about and think about and focus on. And so all that is a choice, and it's not always an easy choice to make. I mean, turning off the news, that's an easier choice to make. What the thoughts that are going on in your head, it's not always an easy switch and a choice to make. But becoming aware of it, like you say, that's just wonderful tips. Thank you, Phil. Becoming aware of it, and you know, taking action to say, okay, well, I'm not feeling good, these thoughts are in the red zone, they're not helping me, I'm gonna make a switch and go and do something. And that's just, you know, standing up, walking away.
Absolutely. Do what works for you.
Do it.
But I would
say
say
having a break.
Have compassion. You know, have compassion for yourself.
That's huge.
Because most people beat the crap out of themselves and their wheels wobble or fall off, right? And then they replay it and replay it and replay it. It all comes from experience. You know, and
I have that same experience. To be honest,
I think to be human,
I got that scorecard too.
But you know, have compassion for yourself. You know, I mean, sometimes if the wheels really fall off, clean up. If you have to clean up for somebody, if you have to apologize, but move on. You know, as I say, it's like the car. You're driving forward. You're not looking in the rear vision all the time.
Absolutely.
But I'd also say at the moment, have compassion for others around you. You know, there are people that are struggling, and there are people that might be showing up a little bit different, and you don't know what's going on in their world.
Just don't know what someone else is going through, do you?
And it's the old story, when somebody points a finger at you, there's always three fingers pointing back. You know, so just always have compassion for yourself, have compassion for others. There's a lot going on.
Absolutely. And that just totally relates and transfers into a kinder, you know, kind of community.
Nicer world to be
nicer
in.
World to be in, doesn't it? Absolutely.
I'm conscious of time, and I'm wondering if anyone who's live joining us has got any questions they want to ask while Phil is in the hot seat with us. You can either pop them in the chat or take yourself off mute if you want to see if you can spring a nice curly question.
Bring it on.
You've done a really good job of covering all that though, anyway.
Lots there to digest.
But I'd also have some fun with it. You know, and business has always been drummed in that it's serious, and we have to, you know, go to the bank manager and we have to do this, and we have to work 20 hours a day and blah 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 blah. Like, nobody ever said business had to be serious, significant, dramatic. We can have fun. You know, and
that Protestant work ethic nonsense that we've all had drummed into our heads about hard days work. Hey, it's got some answering for.
It absolutely has.
I've
just
seen
much more enjoyable when you're having fun. So
just saying a really nice message. Just wanted to say thanks for sharing. It's important to know we aren't alone in our struggles. That's so true, Lindsay. Isn't it nice? Like, nice to know that we're not the only ones with the crazy.
Everyone struggles in some way, and so it's just great to get those tips. Thank you so much, Phil. It's just been awesome.
Awesome. I'm so glad that's been a great conversation for you, Sherry. Thanks for joining us. So have you got any, like, I don't know, like last little was there a golden nugget in there that you really were hoping we were going to ask and you haven't had the chance to share?
How long have you got?
Yeah.
My biggest bit of advice to everybody is keep it simple.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the old kiss, keep it simple,
Yeah.
stupid, and do that for your business as well.
Mm.
You know, you've only got 4 areas you need to look at: price, sales, cost of goods sold, expenses, right?
Yeah.
It's that simple. Focus on one thing a day. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
You know, so keep that
nice.
simple, but work on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, work on your mindset, work on the voice in your head, work on your thoughts, what you do, who you say, what you're being. You know,
Yeah.
it's just massive.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Very cool. And a highly complicated, overthinking brain. I appreciate the message of keeping it simple. It's definitely something I needed to hear today. And I'll just check. Yeah, it just looks like lots of people really appreciating everything that you've shared with. So thank you so much for coming along, Phil.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks so much for everyone who's joined us live and taken some time to prioritize themselves and their well-being for this lunchtime, and everyone that joins us on the replay.
Thank you, everyone. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Phil. That's just such great things to take away and use. And look forward to watching the replay of this and taking some notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you.
Bye.